Today we're going to work with a background, a soft background, focusing on one flower primarily, and I'm planning to use my quinacridone colors. The subject will be a field of tulips, and my plan is I'm not going to use the background that's exactly in the photo we're working from. I prefer to make it not quite as dense with color and not as much green. So I'm going to use my quinacridone colors. I have a separate palette for that. And then I have a bigger palette that has some of my blues and colors I'll use for the background. So I'll just start with that. I did find my favorite brush. So my favorite brush that I'll be using for, at least for the tulip, is this Velvet Touch Princeton. Oh, it's a number 6 brush. Has a really great point on it. And then I'll probably use this one too, which is a number 10, a round brush. And to do the background, I'll use a larger brush, a round brush. I tend to prefer round brushes for some reason. So to start with, I'll do a drawing, and I'm just going to do it somewhat loosely. I have this little cheat sheet I made that tells me what my colors are. So I can see the quinacridone rose, I guess it is. Where's my glasses? And magenta, I've got quinacridone magenta somewhere here. Here's rose right here. Fuchsia. This is rose madder genuine. This is quinacridone red. Probably one of these is the magenta. Let me check here because I want to make sure I have that as an option. Okay, just squeeze out a little bit of that so I'll have it handy. This is my quinacridone magenta. These are Daniel Smith colors. I need to make a good swatch of each of these so that I have it well defined. So like for right now, what I'm going to do is take this and paint a little bit of it on here so I'll know exactly what it looks like. See, if I painted it before, I forgot to label it. Now I'll add a little more water to it. Okay, it looks like the colors that she used were the quinacridone magenta. If I look at the reference photo that I have, when we were looking at the Maria Rexinska, she used the magentas. But if I look at the reference photo that I'm working from, of course, I don't have to use the same colors. It looks more like it's got the quinacridone coral and the, let's see, what's the QF? Fuchsia. So I'll just keep that handy while I'm painting. I like the brighter quinacridone colors. I'll put it right here, up here where I can see it. So I'll do a sketch first. I want the main tulip to be up in this area. So to start with, I'm just going to locate it. Maybe I'll make it a little bigger. And then for the tulips in the background, I just want to get a little bit of a placement going. I don't want to put them all equally spaced either.
With this incredible $60 wood restoring formula.
I'm muting people because there's some background sounds going on. And I'm putting in a few extras over here. I'm looking at the Maria Rexinska one as well as the photo that I'm working from, and just going to kind of go with that. I don't want to have two separate paintings, but so I have to be careful about that. But I want to have something. I don't want to have just a big open space here either. So, okay. So this is very loose, very roughly drawn. I'll do a little more for my tulip here, so I'll have a better idea of the detail on it and the shape of the outside of the tulip. And then this one, I'll do the shape of this a little better too. Let's see, where's my eraser? I don't really like the drawing that I did before. I had the height of the tulips all the same. I want to have a little bit of different heights. Okay, so that's good enough. And so I'll do what Maria did. I'm going to erase some of my pencil lines first, but I'm going to wet the background, all except for the tulip, and just paint the background first. I may end up getting my hair dryer on this one to dry the thing to work on the tulip.
Are you wetting the other tulips too, or are you leaving them dry?
I'm wetting them because their only tulip that's going to be in sharp focus is the one, this one right here.
Okay.
But I'll probably come back in like Maria did and paint a little bit more definition on the other ones after I've done the background. You know, after I've finished the one in the foreground. That's something on my brush. Okay. So I'm going to start with a little cobalt blue. And then let's see here, I've got to figure out which colors are which on my palette. I'm hearing some background noise. Let me see where that's coming from. Just a second. I can't really tell where it's coming from. I'm thinking about the shapes of some tulips in the distance, but I'm not really focusing too much on that right now, just getting some color in the background. And then I'll put in a little bit of a yellow tone also. Let's see, what is that? This doesn't seem very wet here. I think I might have skipped wetting this part. Or it dried fast.
Did you wet the areas where the stems are going to be?
Yes, I did. Because I can paint, they're darker than the background, so I can paint some of those a little bit later. Let's see. I want to do a little bit, you know, it's drying a little bit now, so I want to come back in with a little bit more darker tones on some of the ones that are closer. come in with a little bit of the, I think it's probably quinacridone gold in some places. And I probably will add a little bit of green, but I want to use more of a viridian green. I'm thinking of leaf shapes, even though I'm not going to paint a lot of leaves. I'm thinking of the leaf shapes back here. Now, a few, let's see what, I'm not positive what color I'm using, sorry, but it doesn't really matter. You can do your own choice of colors. But I still need to keep remembering I'm going to be painting some of these that are in the background while it's still a little damp. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. That's what happens when you have wet paint on your palette, fresh out of the tube. These are starting to look more like crocuses.
Thinking it's a very springtime look.
Yeah. Okay, so I have some pretty subtle colors in my background. I want to put a little bit more blue in because the blue is almost completely faded away.
Your tulip ran on the left over there.
Oh, over here, yeah. Well, you know, that's also a shadow that's on my, it's there, but it's also, there's a kind of a shadow there.
I didn't know if you wanted to catch it or not. Just start
Well, I
running.
just want to make it, I want to make the rest of it a little darker.
Mhm.
I know what happens is that the blues really do fade away if you make them too light in the beginning.
Yeah, cobalt can be that way.
More than others.
Well, I mean, it depends how light you go, I guess. But cobalt tends to be light anyway, don't you think?
Uh-huh. Boy, it's really, my paper's really wrinkling, even though it's stretched.
That's what happens when you start doing the wet into wet so much, I
Yeah.
guess, huh? When you don't have 300-pound paper.
That's why he mentioned that he uses that, I'm sure.
You're right.
Okay, now I've got all this happening over here too. Okay. So let's see here. Few more things and then I'll go get my hair dryer. Okay, I'll go get it. I'll be right back. I just wanted to get it to start to dry because I'm going to work on the main tulip now, and then I'll come back to the rest of it. Yeah, I'm looking at my colors here, thinking, what do I want the main one to be?
It's the orange thing. Pipe.
I'm painting while it's still damp. I'm just dropping color in. To find my glasses. It's hard to find your glasses when you can't see without them. I'm not using those little tiny strokes. Obviously. Do some of that up in here. And now I'm going to come in around the stem area with some dark green. And a little purple added to it. Adding the yellow on top of the darker instead of the other way around. Now dropping in some of the color from the actual tulip into it also. I'm coming in with some opera too, because I like the color of opera. I've got some paint on my thumb. I think I need to spray some of my background so I get a little bit of softness in there. I know I'm all over the place with this.
You kind of have to be with the different wetnesses and fuzzy
Yeah.
edges and sharp edges.
Yeah, it's kind of a experiment here. When she did it, it looked so easy, didn't it?
You're being more precise, which is okay too, with your flowers.
Yeah,
So,
I am. And then she just painted them very loosely in the beginning
right.
and then came back in with some shapes.
Sylvia, I think your flowers look like happy flowers.
They
Yeah,
do.
they're
I do.
Hallmark flowers.
Right. That shows.
Yeah,
You can't help it. You like things to look real. I'm the same way.
try your
Beautiful.
best to be more loose and yet when it comes right down to it, if that's not your nature,
Right.
it's hard to do what you think you want to do.
I took a workshop once with a woman down in San Diego years ago when I first started. And she would have like 3 reference photos of flowers, like a sunflower maybe. And
Uh-huh.
then she would start out with just wetting the paper and dropping some yellows in where she thought she might put the flowers, and maybe some other colors.
Mhm.
But she would go back in and she would draw over that and make up the flower, that she saw it possibly in a photograph. But
So she did a drawing
there
on
would be,
top of it, huh?
but the colors would like it would overlap though, like it wouldn't be a perfect, it wouldn't stay in, the colors wouldn't stay inside the lines, so to speak. They would kind of go over the edges, but it was kind of drippy and impressionistic. But I had fun with it, but it wasn't something that I wanted to do all the time because I felt like I wasn't that great. You could do it because you're really great at being um, realistic. You know how to be realistic, and I have to work at that. I love being realistic, but it takes work.
Yeah, well, I'd like to do that. There's so many things that I want to do and
Her name is Joan McCassin, was her name, and I don't even know. I should look her up because I haven't even kept in touch or kept
Yeah.
up with her work. But Joan McCassin is her name.
I think I've heard that name.
Yeah.
Well, when I get to this point, my desire to do is just to get my big brush and come back in and just do something for fun because I'm not having fun anymore.
Aw,
You're not. Aw,
I
not
know.
like me.
Maybe part of it is I think I do have to actually look at the reference and I think I do need to have something like that I'm really looking at because that is just part of my whole background. I feel lost without it.
Or you can just paint the essence of a tulip and forget it, because what you're doing right now is beautiful and it doesn't have to all be realistic.
I might
It's,
stop
it's
looking at
just,
the reference.
yeah, just have fun and don't worry about it. It's
Right.
just a painting, right? It's just a piece of paper. And I
Yeah.
mean, I have to tell myself that too. I feel like, in the way you're painting right now, it always seems like it should be fun, but if you're not liking the process, then that's not good.
No. Okay, I'm just going to look now at my paper. And where I think I'd like to do something, I'm going to do it. Is your mom still in the hospital, Cheryl?
She went home yesterday evening. So
Okay.
she was in there almost a week.
Uh-huh.
But they weren't able to get everything, all the fluid out because of her congestive heart failure.
Yeah.
She, they did the best they could, so they had to send her home. But anyway, she's probably going to sleep better. I
Yeah.
can say, but I think her heart is, slowly giving out. So that's what she's been dealing with for a long time.
Uh-huh.
Thank you for asking. She'll probably stick around for the holidays if she could, if she can.
Are you going to get together for Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I
Uh-huh.
will. Yeah, she's in Santa Maria, so it's easy enough to go up there. I'm gonna go see her this weekend.
Okay.
Haven't seen her for a while, so I want to go visit.
So are very many of you having family over for Thanksgiving?
We need to figure that out.
Yeah, don't know yet.
It's funny, I didn't make any plans and then somebody invited me and I was relieved, actually.
Mhm.
That's good. I don't have to be alone, I hope.
No.
I just found out that my sister's, well, they're going through a divorce, but her husband, he just found out he has COVID and he got the vaccination,
Uh-huh.
but he traveled over to, I guess, Arizona to visit his daughter and probably did some partying. I don't know, but he
Uh-huh.
just found out today he was feeling really sick and found out it's COVID now.
Oh, no,
They don't wear masks in Arizona.
they don't?
No, they
Oh,
don't. They don't believe in it.
oh,
Yeah,
not
anywhere in
really.
Arizona. They,
Yeah, I
they
don't
don't
know.
wear masks in Orange County either.
really?
They
No.
don't wear masks in most of the country. Ohio, I was just in Ohio and New Hampshire, very little mask wearing there. Arizona.
Everyone up here wears a mask. Everyone.
I don't know if that's the way he actually contacted it, though. It's not always just that way without wearing a mask. I mean, I don't know, how do you know
Yeah,
where
don't
you
know.
get it?
You don't know.
Somebody I went to a place where they don't wear masks and came back sick.
Yep.
Well,
I
I'm
just had a flu or some kind of a 3-day stomach thing. Thank God it wasn't COVID. I just had an upset stomach and then
Yeah.
it went away. But
That's
think-
one of the symptoms of COVID.
well, they're
Yeah.
saying now, I heard the new Delta variant, the Delta variant actually has more like cold symptoms for 3 days, and then it goes into the lungs, which it can be really bad when it does that. So you should really be careful because most people think, oh, I just have a common cold, and then it turns into something worse into the lungs. It really gets bad. So
Oh.
that's to be aware of because it's not the same as the first one. Apparently, you don't lose your, I think the first one you lost your taste. And yeah, some people got an upset stomach with diarrhea, vomiting, high fever, and others didn't get the stomach thing, but it turned into a bad cold.
The new one is more contagious.
Which one?
So has anybody had the booster, the third shot?
I have. I've gotten it.
Yeah.
I have the booster. I actually got the flu shot and the booster in the same arm.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Poor thing.
the arm that I walk the dogs with hurt more than the arm that I got 2 shots in.
Oh, wow.
I had the booster and I thought it was my arm was gonna fall off for like about 3 days.
Really, I didn't have any symptoms. Isn't that
I
right?
got the Moderna booster.
Yeah, I had Moderna. My arm was slightly sore. That was about it.
I got the Pfizer booster and I got sick, but I also got sick from the second shot, but
Mm.
just a few days.
It's worth it.
But I feel much safer with the booster.
Oh, yeah.
I hate this painting, you guys.
I hate mine too.
And it was supposed to be fun today. Oh, for crying out loud. Okay. I'm gonna really go to town. This is what happens sometimes.
I liked mine till I started in the stems.
You went to what?
I liked my painting till I started adding the stems.
Oh, and that helped, huh?
No, it didn't.
Oh,
She liked it till
until
then.
you started adding the stems. Well, all I can say is some work and some don't.
That's right.
I know on Tuesday, Yana was asking me if I ever had felt really frustrated, with my painting. And oh yeah, at the beginning, when I was first starting out, I was so miserable. I finally figured out, I think I was trying too hard.
Oh,
Have you ever realized that at some point in your life that you might be trying too hard?
that's what I'm doing with this painting. It's a mess, a total mess.
Yeah, well, sometimes that's what we do. And I think when we realize that and just kind of let go is when things start to work out better. So now I'm going to get the salt.
Salt and splatter cures a lot of things.
It does. I'll do a little spatter too, since you mentioned it.
Oh, I like it.
I hope you're talking about yours.
No, I'm talking about yours.
Oh,
I like it. It's great.
getting really wild with some spatter here.
It looks like a fun painting, and that's how I'm viewing mine too.
I'm getting the same thing that I do when I have my board at an angle. See how the water's coming back in and creating this kind of an avenue. I'm going to do some spatter up in here too. I do like it better with spatter. Okay, so let's see what else I can do to mess it up even more. There is a certain satisfaction out of just, once you feel like you don't like something, just do whatever you feel like it. You know,
Yeah.
'cause then you don't feel like you're gonna mess it up.
I'm glad to hear you say that.
Yeah.
That's I always end up.
You're brave. Just you jumped off the cliff, and you went for it. And that's what's fun about it. And I think it turned out really pretty. I don't see anything wrong with it personally.
I variety of reds.
It's another world.
Yep.
Oh, I like the spatter. Looks great.
Yeah, it's sort of one of those, every so often you just have to let loose and do something a little different, I think.
Sometimes, or most of the time, I have something in my head that I want to do, and then when I get it on the paper, it doesn't turn out like I thought it would. That's usually most of the time.
That's cool, huh?
It usually turns out, even though it's not what you had in mind, right?
Yeah, turns out. May not want to keep it, but it does turn out.
That's how I feel.
I finally finished the one commission. I'm so happy to have it out of my hair.
Oh, yay.
I have to go get it photographed.
The red flowers.
Yes. Now I have to do another red flowers.
Yeah. You were on that red phase, right?
Ugh, I'm tired of red. I want to do something different for sure.
I don't blame you. Red is hard.
Cheryl, can you show it to us?
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. See what
Cheryl.
it looks like. Oops.
Yeah.
Why don't you guys show me what you're working on? I think I got that pleased, and I think I've painted enough.
Mine is lying flat, so
Are you?
I don't
That
know.
is really pretty, though. It's really lovely, Sylvia.
Oh, well, I might like it better later.